I'm wearing the cape. Don't have very many opportunities left because sadly, this is the season finale. But at least we do get epic boat sex!
I'm on a boat.
Yeah, should we be too excited about that?
I mean, you can.
Yeah, mixed feelings.
So weird.
Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 7. We have finally come to the sad, sad ending. No! What am I going to do with my life? I got to go back to game reviews. Fuck! Alright, I was just teasing y'all. So this episode, directed by Jeremy Podeswa and written by the regulars D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. Yeah, quite an eventful freaking season finale, and in my opinion, a damn good one. Brings up lots and lots of questions. Now, we know Game of Thrones doesn't always have, the very last episode is never really battle heavy. Yeah. It's more wrapping up the storylines, and we get exactly that. Very many storylines have been kind of wrapped up, came to a head, all at Dragon's Pit, right? Is what they call it. So, in King's Landing is where we start. Let's jump right into the episode. Jaime and Bronn bracing for a siege by Daenerys' Unsullied, which magically appear there.
Walked all the way from Casterly Rock, and
there you
there.
go.
And
Pretty nice.
A little fast there, a little teleportation. And the Dothraki horde, which show up quite behind them. And you get to see how impressive and how many forces she actually has.
Quite nicely formed as well as they ride through the Unsullied.
Yeah, exactly. So we can tell that, honestly, Cersei would probably get her ass kicked in this situation.
Definitely.
Oh, no. I played a lot of Age of Empires, and the person who has the most pitch wins the fight. And they had 500 gallons.
500 gallons of that oil they're ready to pour over everybody. But they are there for diplomatic relations, and we get that. So we get the meeting at the Dragon's Pit. I thought the episode started with a very, very strong, tension-filled scene. How did you feel about the Dragon's Pit meeting?
My favorite part wasn't the meeting itself, but the walking up to the meeting, because it was a collection of people that hadn't seen each other in a long time. We got a lot of cool reunions. Yeah, we had Brienne and the Hound, which was my favorite by far. The favorite.
What did they talk about? Last we saw them, they almost fought to the death. What happened?
Well, she thought they had fought to the death. Like her face when she sees the Hound. Just like, I thought I killed you. Where'd you come
to blows, but surprisingly,
he's a different person. I mean, and then they kind of just there was no hostilities. It's just she just said, "Look, it was a misunderstanding. I was just protecting her." And he said, "So did I." And then she's like, "She's alive. She's doing well." And
she's over here.
They talk about Arya a little
bit.
Like
their parents.
Like our parents.
They both kind of got the sniffles.
I liked it, especially when she said she doesn't really need it. If you're here, where is she? Is she being protected? And yeah, she doesn't need.
The only people that need protecting are the people in her way. And then the smile on his face was perfect.
Confirmed it. He's like, yep, did good. We also got a meeting with Tyrion and Podrick.
Tripod.
They hadn't talked to each other in a long time, so it was good to see them.
It's very nice.
Podrick also had a little rapport with Bronn. It's like, let's let these fancy people talk it out. And then they go off. Presumably, that's the last we see of them. Presumably, they hang out at a brothel.
That scared me a little because they were like, hey, let's go let these fancy people talk. And then all of a sudden, they just take off.
They would have to rush in at the last minute to save everybody. So that was your favorite, the walk up to it. My favorite was the actual meeting between this political intrigue, the tension you could cut with a knife. Is Cersei really going to have a civil discussion here, or is she going to encircle them with troops and I hope it's worth the noise, and then freaking attack them? Was anybody going to die? Did you feel anybody was at risk? Did you feel that tension?
I really enjoyed the fact that Cersei tried to make them wait for the entire meeting, and that Daenerys flew in on her dragons and goes, well, we were waiting quite a long time. You were not. You were definitely not.
Apologies. And
apologies.
Daenerys certainly knows how to make an entrance. We've seen this multiple times. She kind of throwing the dragons in their face a little bit there. But I thought it was fantastic. Later on in the episode, Cersei makes a comment that, did you notice she only had two dragons, not three? And of course, Cersei at her high level by this point notices those small details. But okay, so we get the negotiations underway. The first thing that happens is Urian pokes fun at Theon.
Instantly. Yeah. I have your sister. You should surrender. What are you gonna do about this? And everybody shuts him down instantly.
Yeah. Well, he even is attacking Tyrion a little bit.
Yeah.
So he is acting the role of his character, the rabbit attack dog.
It was great.
And I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. So eventually, Cersei's like, sit down, and so he sits down. But this is all playing into Cersei's plan. Do you think Cersei would have went into this negotiation and not had a plan? She's surrounded. The Unsullied and the Dothraki are probably more powerful than her army. But at this point, they're not going to fight. But do you really think she's just going to let them walk in here and talk about shit and then, end? Well, she's got a plan. So she basically plays them all. She is such a good villain here because I even bought it. I bought it for a split second. At first, she's like, why should I help you guys out? And they try to convince her that way. It's not working. So the Hound decides, okay, we're going to show her. So the Hound takes this huge old box, even though he's got a horse over there.
There's a cart.
He's dramatic, right?
By
Puts
the way,
the box down.
if anybody touches this, I'll kill you first. That same guard.
I was worried, and that sets up a potential fake out. I was worried that when he opened up that box there was an incredibly long time that nothing's coming out. And Cersei's like, okay, wonderful. You brought me a box.
What's in the box?
But he flips over the box and the White comes screaming out with its hands straight at Cersei.
Yeah.
And the look on her face, you could tell that she was immediately convinced that this thing is an undead. And there is truly a threat. If they brought this from the north, there's a threat here. Now, I wanted to play devil's advocate a little bit, and I thought that maybe Cersei might throw out a little bit about her little necromancer guy. Yeah. She's actually used to the undead walking around her constantly, if you think about it, in the mountain.
Who was way too excited.
Well, he had a giant chubby. He picks up a dismembered arm that's like wiggling about.
He got super interested and was picking up all the dead people pieces. But I thought Cersei would have at least thrown in a throwaway line like, a dead person, I've got one right here, or something like that. Or you could just produce one. That's not proof of this massive army that you're talking about.
She didn't seem convinced of a huge potential army coming at her when she already had something along the lines.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that there's this possibility here, and I wanted them to allude to it, but it didn't seem like they did. Yeah. In my opinion, it did convince Cersei, and she was ready to believe them, but not enough to where, she was going to willingly help them. But she decides that after Urian says, what the fuck is that? I've been all around the world, and I have never seen anything like that. Can these things swim? And he gives the vital answer, no, they can't. Fuck y'all, peace out, I'm going to my island, and these things can't swim, so I'm safe. You fucking deal with it. And he leaves.
He tells Dany, I'm going back to my island. You should probably do the same. Go back to your fucking island.
Yeah, and let these fuckers hash it out.
Swim, but they can't operate heavy chains underwater.
Yeah,
so that seems to turn the tables, and Cersei has to reconsider and say, okay, you've convinced me with this thing here. I've lost my fleets. We had a coward, in our midst. Even though this guy has like 15 military victories flying across all around Westeros.
He's the only thing she's got.
And she says basically, I will help you so as long as the king in the north pledges allegiance to me. Okay, we need everybody in their place, and then I'll agree. And John,
true neutral, he has to be true neutral.
True neutral. And oh yeah, that's right. She didn't really ask him to bend the knee to her, but she said stay neutral. And John wouldn't do it. Do you think this plays into John's character?
So it was very interesting because initially he never wanted to bend the knee. And then the second that he decides to, he's completely dedicated to
the second it becomes
his
inconvenient
queen.
for the party.
I've already bent the knee too.
And, even Tyrion goes, sir, you should
Daenerys.
probably figure out how to lie. Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing?
I liked it, and you're a grown-ass man. You're at diplomatic negotiations where thousands of people's lives are at risk, and John cannot bring himself to lie. Like father, like son, or as we find out, like adoptive father, like son. He's learned from Ned, perhaps a little too Ned, and it's just super honest. So this ticks off Cersei. She says, "Oh yeah, fuck you guys, I'm out." But I loved all the dagger looks back and forth, the tension of the scene. Thought it was really well done. She leaves.
We totally forgot to bring up the mountain and the hound.
Oh, fuck.
Oh shit! The second that they walk up on it.
It does seem like the showrunners are watching us because they gave a little pre-Clegane Bowl thing. Even though I knew in last episode we talked about it, I said there's no reason that the hound will start attacking the mountain. Yeah. It's a diplomatic area. You're gonna fuck shit up. But he basically told him to his face, I'm coming for you, buddy.
It's always been me.
It's always been me that's going to end your life.
You're definitely uglier than I am now.
They are adding to the hype of the Clegane. They're going to find how the fuck could they find an excuse to have these two have the Clegane Bowl in season 8?
I have a prediction.
Okay,
we'll talk about
Okay, all right, season predictions.
Sorry.
Okay, so maybe hinting at Clegane Bowl. Anyway, she says, fuck you guys. John, all right, you fucking deal with it. And then we'll leave. And at first, Jamie resists. He's like, what? But, this is life and death here. We need to fight these monsters. She's like, why? Let the Northerners deal with it.
You were the stupid Lannister.
So she takes off, and Tyrion steps up, okay? Tyrion has been loss after loss, outthought, outplayed. He's like, this is my sister. I think our only option here is for me to go and try to convince her.
I know her better than everyone else, except I've been wrong this entire year.
This entire season. Poor Tyrion has gone from like the most clever motherfucker in one of my to being outmaneuvered and being completely destroyed this season.
He also admits, I'm sorry, but I really don't want to get murdered either. Like, I understand this might put me in that position, but this is something I have to do.
It's true. And so, but he goes over there.
He does.
And I love the little touching scene that he has with his brother. He runs into Jamie. No, actually, Brienne. We have a meeting with Brienne and fucking Jamie, and I was like, you know what? I'm already on that torment, that wild bear sex.
Oh yeah.
So I did not want, Brienne to, have little googly love eyes with Jamie, and she's like, fuck loyalties. Tell her, convince her. And Jamie's like, what am I going to say to her?
And she's over there in the corner of like,
Yeah, makes it seem like Jamie's not going to do anything about it. But we learn with the scene with Tyrion talking to him, he's like, I already tried to convince her, brother. You're not going to.
Did you speak with her? No, I spoke at her until she threw my ass out of the room.
Yeah. And so I thought that was great. And then he said, well, I should probably say goodbye because our sister's gonna kill me. She's always wanted to kill me. Yeah. But this is our Hail Mary pass. So that he respects him, lets him by, and he goes in the mountain. It's just amazing to see such a huge man next to such a small man, and you could feel the tension. He's like, oh man, this fucker's gonna kill me. Goes in, talks with Jamie, or not Jamie, but Cersei. And surprisingly, to my great surprise, she allows him to speak.
Yeah.
But of course, as he tries to explain how he killed, why justify that he killed the father, do all this other stuff. I don't want to hear it.
Their relationship is so far, like, you can only scream at each other, and that's the only way they'll accept each other.
Yeah, and so it was another great scene because there's a lot more going on here than we initially realized. I thought to myself, how the fuck is Tyrion going to convince her, right? But it does seem that he gets through to her because she makes a little move to hold her chest. And Tyrion, then kind of noticing she's talking different, and he goes, my God, you're pregnant. And so he thinks he has her figured out, that maybe he can play to her pregnancy and what she wants to protect. And he gets a little, you know, as they're at each other's throat, he takes a moment and they kind of bond over wine because they both love wine. I love that. He goes and pours the wine and he sighs and he pours her a glass, gives her a glass. She doesn't drink from it, right? But you know, he's trying and he notices that and he thinks he makes a breakthrough. Now, we don't actually get to see anything after that.
Yeah, it wasn't resolved off screen, which is kind of disappointing.
I was really mad at that.
What I liked about the scene, though, is they get really frustrated and really heated, and he starts poking at her. He said, because of me, the mother's dead. Because of me, father's dead. And according to you, that means that I'm responsible for Tommen's death, and then your daughter's death.
He's like,
and everyone's
everything
dead.
is my
Kill
fault.
Me.
Go
Tell
ahead.
this guy to kill me.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Kill
easy
me.
enough.
And
like,
then nothing happens, which is important later on when she's talking to Jaime.
Yeah, so basically that happens off screen. We see Tyrion coming back. The whole alliance, the Northern Alliance, is looking at him like, did you get anything done? It doesn't really look like it. Boom. Cersei shows up with all of her soldiers. I was half expecting at that moment, here comes a...
Fuck you guys.
Like everybody's surrounded.
And
now you're
everybody's
fine.
attacked.
But no, she comes back to announce herself that I am not... moving my armies. I am not going to, in fact,
Retreat.
I am not going to retreat. I am going to support you.
Yeah.
We're going to put our armies north and we'll fight together. But after this, motherfuckers,
remember,
we are not friends. And remember what I did for you, what I did
with
for
no
you.
promise from any of you.
Yeah,
You promised me
exactly.
nothing. I just did this on my own.
That was a huge part.
And so everybody's like, hooray! But that's not the truth.
No.
Great reveal here because it actually had me. Now I should have seen it coming because Cersei is such a good villain.
Well, they framed it really well. Like the director, like her speech had the inspirational music. There's this slow zoom in on her.
Yeah.
It looked really good.
Tried.
You're like, oh wow, Cersei's really, really awesome. Very next scene, she's just making Jaime.
She's in the war room with Jaime.
Yeah, and Jaime's talking to all the generals and saying, all right, I need you to march up to the river road. You go up the King's Road.
Making them plan.
Get the supplies. And then she looks at him. She's like, what are you doing? And all right, everyone but Jaime, get out of this room. I need to speak with my idiot brother. She's like, I knew you were the stupidest Lannister.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like,
what are you doing? This is clearly a double cross. Why are we doing this? He's like, well, I promised all these people, and he gets all up about his promise, which I felt kind of weird because he's the oath breaker. But it was a really important scene.
Yeah, and to add on to that point that he's the oath breaker, this is going to be the moment he snaps, not the moment where she explodes everybody with fucking fire and green fire.
Okay, this seems like a choice between humanity and the undead.
Yeah.
And Jaime decides, hey, humanity matters more than everything else we've been working for.
Yeah.
And Cersei doesn't see that as the bigger picture.
Yeah, and you also convinced me with the point that where Jaime snaps internally is the sense that she no longer trusts him, and that she left him out of the loop. His loyalty is now in question, and he's like, my loyalty. He's thinking to myself, like, I forgave you for this, forgave you for this, and this and this and this,
of these things.
and after everything, you're going to turn your back on me, and not only turn your back on me, but conspire with Urian, because it turns out that she was purposefully letting Urian bark, and then run off because. Her real plan is the Greyjoys are actually going to Essos and are escorting a brand new mercenary army, the Golden Company, another 20,000 soldiers with elephants and all sorts of heavy weapons and shit. And he never planned to leave in the first place, which I thought was clever. I didn't see it coming. And Jaime got super pissed because that guy has been like fucking.
He's on top of it. He's supposed to be the general.
He's the thumb in the butt guy.
The thumb in the butt guy. And apparently that was enough for Jaime to finally snap and say, no, I gave them my word. You conspired without me. And she's like, well, you're the fucking traitor. You're the one that has been doing this and this. Though that's Cersei going crazy.
She's nuts. She's lost connection with reality.
Every time Jaime tries to plan anything, he lets her know. Like, he lets her know.
Exactly. And she didn't let him know this time. And she gets real dark. And I was scared for Jaime's life because he's like, what are you going to do? I'm leaving. And she's like, no, you're not. No one leaves me. And I was like, oh, fuck it. I was like, no. And when she did that head nod to the mouth
and he pulled the sword out.
I was like, oh, fuck. This is how Jaime ends? Or maybe this is the scene where he turns around and gets her?
Yeah, something.
But it turns out that he's like, I don't believe you. And then he just walks straight past the mountain. The mountain doesn't do anything.
He had his sword drawn, though. He didn't do anything, but he had his sword out.
He wasn't given the command to
She gave him the command. She nodded, but then she
must have given. She must have given him a head notice, or maybe the mountain knew her
Scare
wishes.
him.
Zombie body language.
To scare him, right? But he escapes. He jumps on a horse, says, fuck this, I'm riding north. I guess he's going to go join the Team Northern Alliance, which doesn't seem like a very good trade. We lost a dragon, and we gained Jaime.
And then all the people who would actually ally with him, like unless he meets up with Brienne, like all the people on that ship.
He's the Kingslayer, and we are fighting a Wraith King.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Only hope.
But even more valuable, actually, now if you think about it, he knows that she has never planned to march her armies up north. She is not going to support them. She's going to betray them. So he has this information, and he can let the Alliance know that there are going to be no
It'll
Lannister
be the
forces.
Queenslayer in his own way.
Which I thought this was fascinating.
It was the second time in an episode where she thought she was going to kill one of her. I thought she was going to kill one of her brothers. Both of them were literally begging for it. Tyrion said, "Kill me, kill me, kill me." And then Jaime didn't know. He didn't want to be murdered, but he just said, "What are you going to do? Cut me in half now?" And then he hears the sword get pulled, and you could see the fear in his eyes. Like, I thought he was going to die.
I did too, but this really opens up for a lot of series predictions. I love the way they are positioning the armies on the board because now you've got the threat of the king, of the Night King coming down. You've got the Alliance ready to fight them. But now, since Lannisters are clearly not going to support them, you've got enemies behind you. You've got enemies in front and behind. How the hell are they going to resolve this? It just sets up a perfect...
You forgot about the teeny itty-bitty part. So we've got the line, then the Lannisters, and then Dragonstone right over here. You forgot the little dot on
the Dragonstone? Yeah, they're already mining the Dragonstone
for
their
their
weapons.
best, but you can't forget the cherry on top.
Hopefully they have enough Dragonstone weapons in order to counter the...
pitch, I mean, they've got at least 1,000 gallons of pitch. They can march that up.
More pitch. Their weakness is, and Jon demonstrates this as he's talking to Cersei to help convince her, they die like this. He lights the hand on fire. They also die via Dragonstone. Let's do this. And he made a convincing argument.
He neglected to mention, how all of us rich guys have these Valyrian steel weapons. Like these do the thing too.
I was curious about that. He did not mention that. But anyway, we go back to Dragonstone that you bring up. And Jon and Daenerys are wondering, what do we do now? And she's thinking, well, maybe... Queen, it would be not such a good idea to ride the dragons. How would it look if when you show up with the Northern King, the Northern Lords need to kind of believe that he cares about you and that this is a real alliance. And so maybe if you go on the boat together, and she's like, yes, the boat.
Yeah.
Let's get on the boat together. Well, Jorah is the one that suggests. Jorah's the one. Well, Jorah suggests maybe you should get on the dragon because don't go on the road. Don't go on the road. You get on the dragon. You just fly by yourself. Just by yourself. And then Jon Snow very smoothly is like, let's get on a boat.
She's
like, yeah, let's get on the boat.
I'm gonna get on that boat.
And then they cut to just 2-3 seconds of just Jorah's face, and he's so sad.
Yeah,
and he's like, no.
We saw it again, and we thought that it was a subtle hint, but if you go back and watch it, it is a major hint.
He is not happy.
He is not happy. He's like, fuck, I
lost it.
They are totally fucking. Anyways, epic boat sex is to come. But right before that, as Jon is preparing to leave and go to the boat, we get a little quick scene of Theon. Theon stops him in the throne room.
That was super nice.
What happened there?
All right, so Theon comes down and, Jon's about to get on his love boat of sorts. And he goes, you've always seemed to know know right and wrong between each other, and I'm so afraid. You know, I lost my sister, and there's all of these things to come. And
Theon has tried to do the right thing.
He seems to have tried to, but he made it
really
clear that it's never been clear to him. And so he asked Jon, how do you know? And he goes, well, what issue are you having? He goes, well, my sister's been captured, and I want to save her. And he goes, then why are you still talking to me? And he turns and he walks away.
But before that, he really says something really nice to his brother. He says that you're not, you know, he's like, am I a Greyjoy? Am I a Stark? Or, you know, he's having this conflict. And he's like, your father's always touched you. He's like, there's a little bit of our father in me, yes, but there's a little bit of our father in you. And you don't need to decide. You are a Greyjoy. And a Stark, you know, you're a Greyjoy and a Stark, and that for Theon is probably the last push that he needed in order to make the transformation from this broken, beaten down man that's always doubting himself, that thinks he's a coward, that he'll always be Reek. I think that is the drive that he needed to turn back into Theon Stark, and it gives him the courage to be like, well, he's like, now what's your problem? And just like you said, it's like, well, you know, my sister's been captured. And he's like, stop fucking talking to me.
Yeah,
you know,
go
take
solve
care of
this
business.
problem.
And Theon gets up and he right away, he notices some of his Greyjoys are leaving. They're like, fuck this, we're going to go to our island.
Oh, I love that.
And he's like, no, we need to save our queen. He's like, coward, you ran away. Even though these motherfuckers, they ran away too.
And they know respect is earned in a certain way. So he goes, no, we are going. And he goes, you stay down. He starts beating the shit out of him. And he keeps getting up,
and Theon is outmatched here.
He is,
it's not even
clearly.
close.
And the fact that he keeps getting up and he goes, this is for our queen. And then clearly shows that he's been Reek at one point where he gets right.
What was he doing? He was kneeing them in the balls.
He was trying to get him in the
balls,
area.
and he could not locate them.
Theon smiled a little bit. He's like, this is the one benefit of not having a dick anymore.
Oh, I've been solved.
Yeah, it hurts, but obviously it's not going to make him wince in pain and crumple down. So he actually shows a little bit of his fighting prowess, gets a little bit of confidence back, because like you said, Theon is not a weakling. He does have a little bit of a warrior in him.
He's been trained. All of the people in Winterfell, like Robb and Jon and all those guys, they did archery, they did sword fighting, they probably did hand-to-hand combat. I mean, he may not be the best fighter, but he knows what he's doing.
So through sheer will and sort of a wonderful redemption arc that I thought Reek was never going to get, especially as a book reader. You think that Reek is just, I fucking hate this character. I hate him. I want him to die.
Yeah.
There's no way he can redeem himself. It looks like the show has really managed to do this, and he fights back and manages to overpower this bigger person than him. And the other Greyjoys, because it's within their society, they respect him. He won. Let's follow him.
Yeah.
And now they're going to go rescue Yara.
And it's for the cause of Yara. It's not even for Theon at this point.
Yeah, don't do it for me. Go do it for her. Which is important.
And so in the future, it could be Theon to counter Urian, could be Greyjoy to counter those Greyjoy fleets, and we'll see what happens there in the future. All right, so that's pretty much that, and we go on to Winterfell. So, holy shit, I'm so glad this worked out, okay? I managed to stay away from spoilers, and when I saw this scene, the first thing they do is they do Sansa with Littlefinger, and they're playing up that manipulation factor even more, right?
Back and forth.
So, I was right, or I wasn't right. Remember how we were kind of upset with the way they were pushing it.
Yeah.
And at the very end, I said, okay, you know, I still think this is a strong episode. I want to give it a 9, possibly a 10. Ended up at 10. It probably deserves maybe a 9, and I'll get to that. But I felt like I wasn't going to dock it too much for that Sansa versus Arya stuff, because I had faith in the show. I felt like this was a setup, okay? You're getting emotional because these characters are acting in a way they're not supposed to act. Well, it turns out that they were the ones manipulating Littlefinger. In my opinion, that's how they set that up.
That's how they set it up. I don't agree that it was a good setup. It wasn't intelligently done. It could have been done a million times better, but we have this much time for this much show, so...
A million times better. Yes, I will agree. It could have probably been set up slightly better.
That we can remember. I mean, the internet will tell us that we're wrong, but that the show writers themselves tried to trick the viewers by that scene. If they have Littlefinger, if they have someone in the room with Sansa,
the writers purposefully tried to trick the
audience,
Yeah,
and I think this is the only time that they've done something like they've.
Well, the reason that you gave earlier when we talked about it is they were in a closed room by themselves, and Arya is being particularly aggressive, saying that I could take your face, even basically threatening Sansa in a room where nobody's at. But in my justification is they knew that Littlefinger has ears everywhere. He could have been right outside the door listening. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of Arya is an assassin. She does have a little bit of suspicions on her sister. And so she's going to play that game and she's going to threaten her. But I think that she's saying this out loud, and this is very horrible that she's saying out loud, not only for Littlefinger to hear, but also for Sansa to hear, to knock a little bit of sense into her. And as she does the knife, and when she switches the knife and basically presents the knife to Sansa, that is the secret symbol that she's saying, let us work together because I can take people's faces. And she's not talking about taking Sansa's face, even though she says even yours. She's alluding to the fact that she could kill Littlefinger and take his face, let us ally, and set a trap for him.
I don't think that you're wrong in any way, but the fact that you need that much explanation is a problem.
It's a little too
the fact that you're like, we have to get out the tinfoil hats and be like, all right, there was secret ears.
No, I'm so sick of this because you've got Game of Thrones fans on one end, but it's too obvious, they're spelling it out. They've said Jon's lineage 15 times, and then you got these fans where it's like, well, that was too subtle, or that's not subtle enough. That was subtle enough.
Can we agree?
It was subtle, but it didn't make any sense for them to be in a room.
Can we agree that they made a terrible middle ground? They could have done it a lot better to make everybody understood and then understand, and then at the same point allow the Game of Thrones fanatics to be able to guess at the same time. Just the hint of it could happen. Maybe that's
and I agree. You probably could have framed it better.
Of course.
Maybe shown Peter Baelish outside.
Yeah,
and that would have dropped a little hint that they are putting on a performance, though they didn't do that. And I think that that's where you say that they were manipulating the audience by not dropping that little extra scene.
Well, they mention it too at the end of this episode tonight in the behind the scenes. They talked about how they were trying to manipulate us into thinking certain ways. It's like you did a really poor job of doing so.
Unfortunately,
but I mean, they did how we did.
But this sets up one of the greatest scenes so far in Game of Thrones, in my opinion.
I like
Littlefinger's demise. So basically, Sansa says, "That's it. Call Arya into the room, and you've got all these soldiers. You've got Lords of the Vale. You've got fucking Northern Bannermen." And she comes up, and she's looking scared, and you're worried. Well, if you're an idiot, you're worried that she's going to die. But I knew. Well, actually, for casuals, they might be worried. But the one thing that tipped everybody off is Bran.
Bran is sitting in the room.
And I was like, oh my God, I've been saying, where the fuck is Bran this whole fucking time? He can tell the girls, if they are being manipulated, what's really going on. So he's there. So that was clue number one. But she comes out and she says, you stand accused of murder. You stand accused of treason. And she's looking at Arya. How do you answer these charges? Lord Baelish. And the look.
Is so good.
The look is that, that gif on the internet. What? I'm sorry, what?
It's me.
Was like, I'm sorry, my lady, I'm confused.
It's me, right? It's me.
Me. And he goes to the center of the room, and she's like, you did this. And he's like, but my lady, he tries to slither his way out.
Every time.
So gratifying. Was this not good?
Oh, it was the best. And the fact that, the entire time he was trying to go around to each of his little potholes, here, let me explain it. But I'm
Bran
the
was
Lord.
there.
I'm the Lord. You should escort me out of here safely right now. But wait, let me paddle. Let me drop to my knees. Please.
Oh, yeah.
Don't kill me.
He was crying like a bitch. He was crying.
I don't want it.
All of Baelish's maneuvering and outthinking people, and it was just it was so gratifying to see him in this situation, crying like a bitch and begging for mercy. He's like, okay, fine, you caught me, and he was, and really, what I like the most about this is because if you're a fan of Littlefinger, this is an appropriate way for him to go out, because if you think about it,
he would.
It actually isn't Sansa and Arya outmaneuvering Littlefinger, because if Bran wasn't there, we don't know for sure, but I think that yes, Sansa and Arya are higher level. They have manipulated a little bit of Littlefinger, but their levels, think of it like power levels, okay? Dragon Ball Z, right? Peter Baelish is still above them, so he could have potentially manipulated House Stark again. Though it would have been incredibly hard, it would have been a Hail Mary pass, and he might have pulled it off. But it was Bran who was able to counter every single little machination he tried to set up while he was defending himself in front of everybody.
He
even
was
though
the
that
nope
probably
button.
wasn't. Yeah, so exactly. And so basically he said, well, can I have the right to defend myself? Let me go back to my castle and fight you. And they're like, I don't think so. He's like, escort me back. You must. He's like, I don't think so. So
Arya, of course, whips out the Valyrian blade that she was so kindly given to by Littlefinger, essentially.
And this blade is special because it
started wars.
Started the whole thing.
And so she ends this war essentially by just slitting his fucking throat.
She leaves his face.
Yeah, of course she leaves his face.
No damage to his face. We think that Arya will add Baelish's face to her pile, and this will be her for her to go to King's Landing as Peter Baelish and perhaps see if she can fuck around with Cersei.
This could have been a good move on both of their parts in the end, because Sansa knew how powerful Littlefinger was in the end, and goes, well, you know what? You should probably take his face then, if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they publicly killed him, so it's going to be hard to keep it a secret. I had some problems with the scene.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah, publicly.
But those are all loyal men in that room. Those are all loyal men.
Yeah, but they're not quite north. The Vale is not quite. I mean, it's kind of in the north, but
we'll see.
I did not like the first time they accused Lord Baelish of something. He's like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I definitely killed Aaron. What's her name? The
Robert Aaron or John.
The wife. He made her fly.
Oh yes.
And he's like, yeah, I killed her. Why? Why would you admit to that?
Yeah, with some of the Lords of the Vale.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
Right
of course they're not on your side anymore. It's like the only trustworthy person in the room, or the person who came up with all this, is a dude who's super fucking weird in a wheelchair.
I know manipulative people, and I actually like that he did make admissions, because he's a tactician. He realizes, okay, these girls wouldn't pull this on me if they didn't have some good information. So I've got to give a little bit of ground so that I can get people's ears back on my side and then push back. So that's, if he just straight up denies everything, he looks even more guilty in my opinion.
But admitting to throwing a lady out of a window, that's kind of bad.
All of the people that his only out was like, escort me out. It's like, you just admitted to like orchestrating the death of our commander and then his wife and all these other things. So him just to come out with no evidence.
Desperate as fuck.
He admits to killing someone, and then the next time he's accused, you know what he says? Where's the proof? Why didn't you say that first?
He just fucking had the
proof.
Wait,
what proof do you have? No one was there when any of this stuff happened. He's like, no, whatever. I killed her. Why?
You don't know. Well, he was.
It's nitpicky. I still love watching him die.
Yeah.
It was still awesome.
After that, the two sisters have a moment together, and they hash it out, and it was good. It was good. For fans that hated the fact that Arya and Sansa were at each other's throat, you got played.
Yeah.
Maybe it was slightly a little cheap by the writers in a few areas, but ultimately I think that the payoff was worth it. It was worth it.
Maybe at the same time, they meant to have that little scuffle, and it was allowed.
Yeah,
they still don't
like
because
they had a little. I mean, obviously, Sansa just. It's her sister. She's like, I still think you're weird and annoying.
Yeah,
of course. So I like that.
You're not Bran level weird, but you're weird.
You are super weird. Which, speaking of, I did like how Bran in this episode was a little more like himself. Did you see that joke that Bran threw out?
Nice.
So we got to talk about that in just 1 second. But we get the line that we saw in the trailer that many people thought was a prophecy. The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Turns out to not really be a prophecy. It was something that Ned had told the Dawn. It's a saying. And so I thought that the lone wolf maybe referenced Benjen dying so that Jon gets to survive and the pack gets to survive. But it's really more about, I think, making a sacrifice.
It's how we survive the winter. It's like if you cannot survive the winter
by
just being a hard ass on your own, you have to work with everyone else or we're all going to die.
And so Sansa and Arya worked together and they were able to take out... and Bran, Starks, all the pack worked together,
Mm-hmm.
and they were able to take out high-level
mostly
Littlefinger.
Bran, but yeah, the other two did some stuff.
It was definitely big.
Well, they needed some participation. So anyway, getting to that scene with Bran dropping some jokes. Bran's got some jokes.
Yay!
Maybe humanity's coming back to him. Sam arrives at Winterfell. Goes in this room.
Give that
That was
dude an
nice.
Emmy. His facial expressions that entire scene were gold.
What does he
Accurate.
say? I know everything, or
I know everything that's ever happened.
He's like, yeah, bro, that's cool.
Well, he's like, what did you do beyond the wall? I became the Three-Eyed Raven. And his face is like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Nah.
I
And
don't
then
know what that means.
He's like, he admits, I don't know what that means.
So, and he seems to have, how do you know so much? You know, did you see that in a vision? And he's like, shows the
Yeah, I
scroll.
believe
He's like,
so.
okay,
Yeah.
you got me on that. But they basically discover Jon's true lineage, and this couldn't be any harder of a confirmation. They literally spelled it out for all the casual audiences.
And then said it.
They've been dropping hints the whole time that what?
that.
At first, actually, Bran makes a mistake.
Yeah, Bran says that no, Jon's real.
John's Sand.
He's a Sand because he was born in Dorne.
And Sand is the bastard name. Snow and then Sand. Sand for the south, Snow for the north. Nice.
But then Sam remembers that little the thing that Gilly read that hey, actually Rhaegar's original marriage was annulled, and then there was a new secret marriage, and so he's actually Aegon Targaryen, 12th of his name, King of the Andals, and
Says
the First Man.
Aegon Targaryen. What the fuck? Aegon is naming so many people Aegon.
Yeah.
So he's got multiple sons named Aegon, I guess.
All of the Aegon.
But if you think about it, it makes sense because this was the Mad King, and he was trying to fulfill this prophecy of being of the Azor High or something. This is book stuff, but I think maybe he thought by naming all of his kids Aegon Targaryen, it
One
would
of
help
them
them
would
out
fulfill
to fulfill
prophecy.
some kind of prophecy. But together they deduce that Jon is the true
Is the
heir to the
Aegon.
Iron Throne. But during this entire
need to
time,
tell
we need to talk about what's going down up on this boat.
It's on the boat.
Epic boat sex.
I'm on a boat,
So Jon goes up to a door. Targaryen symbol, knocks up on this thing
Room
for a
service.
booty call.
Oh yeah.
She opens the door, gives him a look, and she knows why he's here.
He gets in, he closes the door.
When she allows
it's
him
all
in,
done.
we knew what was gonna happen. They didn't even need to say anything.
All we needed
to each
was
other.
like the 70s porno jazz playing just to make the scene even more perfect.
So they basically give in to their carnal desires, and we see a ton of Jon ass. We get booty shot of the men. What the hell?
I would have
hoping-
preferred her ass.
Me,
like
what? Me
honestly,
too. Really?
yeah.
You didn't like Jon's ass?
No, I didn't care for that.
It was nice, though.
As
You wanted the
she's-
boobies.
As Daenerys said in previous episodes, he's too small.
Oh, what? He's a tiny guy.
He's tiny.
He's short. Come on,
Edited.
Daenerys. But I think the
She didn't seem to be complaining.
No.
yeah.
she
So
did
all we
not.
got from that is a little bit of side boob from Daenerys. Not.
I didn't see nipple. Did you guys see
No,
nipple?
I saw some outer. I mean,
Eh.
we didn't quite freeze
I
frame
can't
it,
even
but
count this for the booby count. I'm
I know, I
sorry.
didn't
Right,
count the
no,
booby
no
count,
booby
but
count.
the booty count went up.
Booty count. Let's bring out the booty count.
You guys
booty
can
count.
count that if you want.
One.
I'm not even.
No, we probably we saw multiple.
We saw
booties
Grey
this
Worm
season.
booty, and we saw
Yeah,
Missandei booty.
it's-
Sandy booty.
Oh,
There's
we
been
saw
some-
Jamie booty.
Jamie booty.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, we
we
saw a
did.
lot of booty.
Booty.
It's all dude booty though.
Cersei booty. Double.
It's
of
it's
of
fake
the
Cersei
yeah,
booty
yeah.
though.
So there's some like
Because-
5 booty. Just put a 5. Fuck it. We're not really
was that
paying
the best
attention.
booty though? No, Missandei's probably. not.
Missandei
Missandei had a
an
good
nice
booty.
say. That ass dope.
That ass.
But I gotta say, Danny's side booty and side boob. What little we got was nice, but it is a little creepy to talk about this
Because
because
as they were plowing, we learned that
Oh, yes.
Daenerys is his aunt. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Made
kind of
it.
par for the course of the Targaryen
Agreed.
bloodline, right?
yes,
Their family
and
tree
people have
is-
to realize this. I mean, by season 1, everybody's like, oh, incest. And then season 2,
It's a
how
lot of
far
it.
we've come, right,
There's a
Reddit?
lot of
People are cheering incest.
Yeah,
and it's like,
incest to
yeah,
wincest.
fuck her good. You know, it's like, wait a minute, that's my
Okay,
aunt.
and
I fucked my aunt.
We all know that we've all been rooting for it so far. So it was like, you bitches have been rooting for this incest lovemaking.
Some people have, some others have not.
Most people. They're
yeah.
like, oh, we'll just ignore the fact that it's incest. It's fine because we want them to get together. But at the
It
same
was
time,
fine before it was confirmed, but this was a hard.
Do you
hard
feel
interest.
this was rushed? Do you buy that these two would be attracted to each
Yeah.
Oh
other?
no, this
and they
totally
would
makes
start
sense.
talking?
What I don't buy
I agree.
is at the end of the show, and they set up this super creepy moment while they're plowing. Tyrion's outside the door, listening in.
like,
and
Yeah, so we were confused, as I'm sure many of you were. Tyrion really is looking, and he seems depressed or brooding. He's outside and he's fucking listening to them
like,
have
oh,
sex.
no.
And we were thinking to ourselves, well, what could this mean? And we came up with
so this has a lot of political ramifications, like them being involved. I mean, it could be a good thing, but there's also a lot of negative outcomes for them getting together.
well, okay, so she consistently reminds us throughout the entire thing, well, I can't have babies other than these dragons, so it should be fine, right? Like,
I think she was dropping.
it'll be fine.
She was dropping hints to have for John. She was like, I can't have babies.
She wanted
That's
the
what
By the
I was
way.
thinking that was. But you're right in the sense that when she has that conversation with Tyrion about not being able to conceive children, Tyrion makes some comments that are interesting, like, men that you love and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that he is, the reason why Tyrion acted this way is because he's concerned that if they get too involved, if they start loving each other, that they're going to make mistakes.
You've
they're going to
already
make
seen
stupid decisions.
this to be the effect that he's having on Daenerys because she went to the north to save them.
Right.
And the outreach for her hand to Snow was a huge indication, like, she's already given in,
But-
she really likes him.
But I think it's artificial, honestly. I think that showing that was kind of weird. I probably would have showed Jordan there for Jordan. No.
Yeah, poor
that
Jordan.
poor
It added
guy.
insult to
He's
injury.
just sitting in there
Yeah.
crying.
No, but you think about it, because in the end, I think them falling in love is even better for the Northern Alliance, because
Yeah.
Jon is really going to try to convince people
Definitely.
that was some good shit. No.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that
This
is a
Northern-
lot-
let me
that's a
tell
lot.
y'all
That
something.
is a queen to
That's the
serve,
queen.
if you know what I mean.
That's a long boat ride. They're not going to have one little encounter.
Yeah,
the thing
that's
that I
a
don't
lot.
buy is
Sexual intercourse between family.
the writers were trying to hype up this could have a whole bunch of political things. Like, what does this mean for Jon? Jon didn't want to be king of the North. Do you think he wants to be king of the Iron Throne?
Nope.
Right. They're trying to set
It's
this up.
like,
Oh,
it's a
there's
big
gonna be
thing.
problems.
Who gives a shit?
There's
Shut
not
up.
gonna
Danny
be
is
any
gonna
problems.
be mad. No, this
Yeah, the
shit.
second they come out and they're like, oh shit, I banked my aunt. Well, you can still have
But-
the throne. That's cool. I never wanted it, but this is kind of weird.
But here's an interesting direction I think that is a potential that they might do. So there's two ways this could go. Maybe a third, you'll have to fill that in. But the first way, these two are now legitimately in love. Well, we know that already. But are
Yeah,
they going
in
to
love.
stay in love and stay together and stay fucking and have that child post Bran and Sam telling them, dude, that's your fucking aunt?
I don't know. I mean,
Are they going to stick together, or will they use this as an excuse to, whoa, Jon is
Sorry.
like, whoa, I'm sorry, we can't be fucking no more, but, we're going to have the baby, and that is the way we're going to have the clean break. We
Whoa.
will respect each other and love each other as family, but that child will be the heir, and we are not going to be fucking no more.
He's assuming that there might be an heir. I like to think that there could be a dragon baby, but at the same time, she consistently says
Well, no,
there's
that's set
nothing
up
happening.
too. That's set up too. When you said that, I think it was in the last episode or episode before
Dragon
that,
baby.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Dragon
that comes from
babies.
left field, but I actually looked it up. When she was cursed, Dany was cursed, she did have like this misformed baby that had dragon
It
wings.
had
wings,
scales.
Yeah,
They were
scales
of
and dragon
concern.
wings. So the dragon babies is a potential if they do have.
Legitimate.
If she can have the baby, is the baby normal? Is the baby
No,
fucked
it's a
up?
dragon.
Or can she have the baby at all? My guess is she can have a baby. It will be normal. But my question to you guys right now, because I want to know your opinion, do you think they stay in love, or do you think they break it off and use that as the excuse? No more incest, but let the child live.
I don't see them having like a reason to break them up.
This is your aunt, bro. Why are you fucking your aunt? What do you think John's response to that is going to be?
They've been like the Targaryens and like been fucking like their their family forever.
Yeah, but you're the one that brought up
right.
that John is too goody two shoes, and he's the one that when he was in the brothel, he was like, I don't want to fuck these prostitutes.
Yeah, but then he went down on Ygritte in the cave. I mean, he's learned some things since that time.
But also in that note where he always said, I would never bend the knee and everything. Well, he bent the knee for her, so why not continue to like break all the rules for this?
He bent it quite hard.
He bent it probably quite hard again. It could go either way,
and I don't care. Like them being together or not being together has no impact on my enjoyment of the show whatsoever. Like I've never. This isn't one of those like rom-com weekly sitcoms where like it's like a Castle. It's like when are they going to get together? Like, who gives a shit? I don't care. Just go fight some White Walkers.
It is kind of odd.
They could just both die and it'd be fine.
That George R.R. Martin has set up everybody to cheer for incest. It's still kind of weird, but medieval ages, different worlds, and the Targaryens do that anyway. So finally, but that's not it. I mean, so we get the epic boat sex that people have been waiting 25 years for these two to get together.
That's a weird
they
thing
finally
to
got together.
Like really be pining over for 25 years.
But people have been.
I know, but I mean, 25 years ago, you tell people it's like, man, I can't wait for this dude to fuck his aunt. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
But that's not how they're setting it up. Anyway, so we go to Eastwatch. We have Tormund here and Beric. And they're manning the wall. The wall looks nice and strong. It's starting to be winter everywhere. And King's Landing, it's shown everywhere. We go to the wind and we see the Night King. No, one of the Night King's generals come out. And from the forest, and because you're so high up, the forest looks like a sea of undead anyway. But no, you start to see the undead come out of the forest. And you see a ton of fucking undead. You see undead giants. You see undead warriors. And were you
looking for Hodor? I'm looking for Hodor.
Yeah, Hodor Watch. Unfortunately, Hodor Watch has failed. Hodor Watch must end.
We'll continue to the next season.
Rest in peace, Hodor. I don't think the director or the writers are going to really hurt us in that way.
You do not know.
Well, they did hurt us in a different way because as soon as he sees the army stops, and we hear a scream.
A giant dragon that now it has like rotting wings. And there's all these holes in it for some reason.
But it can fly.
And it can fly.
Magic.
And it has infinite blue fire breath, which is kind of cool. I mean, it just destroyed the wall.
I thought that its powers were going to be ice, but no, they need it to be flame. So the blue flame is blue hot flame. And it is what they needed in order to put a hole in that wall. And the wall, once it's got a hole,
they fucking wrecked that wall.
Such a great shot. Great CGI on this. The budget is really looking nice here for this. Fantastic. Good as movies, actually. And the wall just comes apart. And as it starts falling, well, you just started a domino effect. That section of the wall is done. And White Walkers continue. They walk through the wall. Just before that, people on the ramparts are trying to escape. Lots of wildlings die. Some Night Watch dies. But I do believe that Tormund and Beric are able to get out on that
they're
side.
on the other side that hasn't quite collapsed. So hopefully they're
Are they going to be able to get down from there? How the hell are they going to get down?
They're going to be on top and they'll be fine.
The most importantly, at the very beginning of the scene, you see that there's a ton of ravens over the wall, and we know that Bran was just warging into them.
Bran had white eyes, so Bran noticed that this happened.
Yeah, so he knows that it's happened, so it's not going to be, there's not going to be surprise attack on Winterfell. They know that they've got like a day or two.
But I am worried. I am worried for Tormund and Beric because we saw them pouring in, so now they're going to need to get down from the wall and rejoin the forces, or they're going to be encircled and trapped. So this could spell doom for both of these characters.
Hopefully they'll scout along the edge and then track them.
I mean, the closer you are to danger, the further you are from harm. Right?
Bam!
Right?
I hope so.
That's how this works.
I hope so,
for the
because
win.
I would like to see him end up with Brienne instead of Jaime.
But
mad. Jaime's riding north. Are we going to get?
We don't care about Jaime. We want Thorin.
I know, but all we're
Brienne.
going to get is Tormund going to be in a scene with Jaime and he sees the way Brienne looks at Jaime and he's going to be like, like chest bumps Jaime and Jaime's like, what the fuck is this guy's problem?
I would love to see that.
That would be really cool. So a lot of stuff for next season set up here. The wall is now down. The Lannisters are not going to help this alliance between the Targaryens and the Northern. Are they going to be able to stop the Night King? Should the North somehow say, "Oh yeah, fuck you," create a path so the Night King can slam into King's Landing, let the Lannisters fight them? But no, because they would just the Whites don't care. They would attack the North that are spreading. I don't know.
There's no easy way to direct them towards a specific.
Yeah, so they're fucked.
Yeah.
So they are fucking encircled. Yeah.
Everybody's fucked.
That's a perfect line. Who said it? I think it was fucking
Tyrion.
Tyrion said it. Jon said it.
Yeah, sorry.
Even Danny believes it.
Everybody
we're fucked.
knows.
And that is a perfect ending for to summarize this show that
we're fucked.
We're fucked. So what did you guys think? Well, first let's actually go to let's talk about what we thought of the episode, and we'll start with Alex.
I thought this was a pretty good episode. It's one of the better finales that I can remember, but I mean I haven't gone back and looked at them. I mean there was some really great dialogue. There was some resolution. There was a lot of resolution of random things. Some of it was done pretty quickly. I think it's definitely above average. I don't think it's one of my favorite episodes. So I would probably give this a 7 or an 8, probably leaning towards 7. Watching it a second time, I liked it a lot less. I mean, I don't know if that's just like you lose some of the impact of some of the scenes. Like watching Littlefinger die was actually really satisfying both times. Like, I really enjoyed some of that. But I
think the beginning that dragon pit very strong and
it started off really good. I mean,
so these two scenes held it up.
Yeah, that really did really good job. So I could understand where someone like I'd give this.
So you're going with I'm
going with a 7.
7.
I'm going with a 7.
What about you?
I unfortunately have to agree. A 7 seems about fair. So there was a lot of great scenes, but at the same time, there's nothing to push it over to like an 8 or even better. And most of it was just wrapping up. And, from a season finale, I'd really like it to have ended possibly on the fact that, the dragon has died, and then we resurrect it, and then bam! There you go. This is all you get. And they had wrapped up everything beforehand, and that was the season finale of they had lost the dragon.
Pissed, and I'm sure many of other
too, but that's how they leave you.
That's you want with a finale, though.
Yes,
right?
Like you want exactly how you want a finale.
But okay, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. That's what I got.
I am blown away, guys, because I'm glad we disagree, because I feel that this was a fantastic season finale. Okay, I really enjoyed this one. I think it is one of the better season finales, and in my opinion, one of the best seasons in Game of Thrones history. Yeah. I loved, like you, I liked that initial scene, but I also loved to see the confirmation that the Sansa Arya thing was a thing that they had set up, slightly manipulative, but great payoff, right? And so the dragon pit, that scene was strong. The fucking Lord Baelish getting his up and comings was strong. I love the political intrigue. I am a huge fan of Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones does this better than anybody, where you have these very smart, high-level people backstabbing each other and betraying each other, and we got that really nicely in Cersei's plan. She's not going to simply let you come in here and outplay or outmaneuver. She's going to fuck you while you're not looking.
That is Tywin's
And
daughter.
I thought that was fantastic. And then we go on over and we see the final scene, the wall coming down. Okay, that was huge for me. You have this massive army that we really get to see in full glory, over 100,000 soldiers. That's only going to get bigger as time goes along. You're going to bring some animals. You're going to get fucking giants. This is going to be a massive battle that they're going to definitely need to save money for with their CGI when they end up fighting this fucking thing.
That's why they cut 4 episodes out so they can afford the fight.
Maybe. But and it doesn't just end there. There was also and then also another thing is the love story, or the culmination between Jon and Daenerys. It felt natural. It felt like these two people could potentially fall in love. They don't know that they're related. So if they weren't related, and if this wasn't revealed to us, we would all be cheering without hesitation, because this is what everybody wanted. The fact that they are related is almost secondary. It almost doesn't fucking matter. And so to finally see these two great characters come together and share that moment is a huge thing for a lot of other fans. So I thought that this is one of the best season finales, and so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Whoa.
For me, 9, 2 points better, and I'm surprised with y'all. I want you to justify why you nicked off 3 points.
There is so much they didn't. There.
What was weak?
I did not buy that these two are like head over heels in love with each other. She did some stupid shit to rescue him. Yes, that's like a signal of love. But I didn't buy their whole. He's like, oh, I saw you staring at her good heart. I didn't buy that. Like, we didn't see a lot of scenes where he's just like staring googly-eyed at her. They didn't sell me on the love story.
an action that she's done to really significantly say that he loved her. He was just like, oh, you kind of want that, don't you? And
I buy that Jay Bear loves her. I do, because we have that set
He went through a lot of shit.
He did.
And it sucks that he doesn't get any booty.
He does not get booty, and it was really
friend-zoned hardcore,
completely. Like, I'm glad to have you back.
I don't think it's a bad episode. I think this is above average. 5 is average. 10 is the best.
So the rushed love storyline nicks at 3 points for you?
It's not
3 points. No, I'm just saying.
That's why I win 9 out of 10, because I do agree that this season it's not just this episode, but it's this season that feels like we could have gotten 10 episodes and it would have played out even better. But no more than 10. No more than 10. It might have even worked with 9, actually.
If they had swapped up the last 2 episodes in its own specific way, where, we had the dragon, die and then resurrected and then took down the wall, that would have been great. But the way that they had, demonstrated all of it between the last 2 episodes, it could have been a different mix-up. And that's the reason why this was a 7, and probably the last one was a 7 instead.
So I wanted more. I wanted more when they the wall coming down is something that is
huge.
Is huge. It is like so radically important. I mean, everyone in the entire world of Westeros is like, no, we got a wall.
Yeah.
And that's it. They put for 1,000 years. Their faith has been in this gigantic magic ice wall.
Bam.
Okay.
And then it was taken down in 2 minutes of CGI, and there wasn't a lot of fanfare. I mean, the dragon is breathing all over the thing, and then it falls.
But they should have had some more to it.
I know, but I liked it, and I liked the score. I think that they did that wall scene better than y'all guys give it credit for. But you just mentioned something, and I did want to go back and talk about it as well. So last time you rated the last episode a 10 out of 10. You are going to take that down,
I'm going to take it down a little bit. We're going to take it down to an 8. Because seeing this episode, they could have definitely taken parts between both of them and swapped it just a little bit.
Yeah, and I agree. I got a little ahead of myself because I do love the series. And we filmed these things literally right after watching it. Yeah. So we were on that high of this amazing fucking dragon scene where the dragon gets killed and stuff.
Don't get us wrong.
But I do think I agree with you. I'm gonna go to a 9, just like he was at 9. I'm at a 9. You're at an 8.
I'm gonna go down to an 8.
To an 8. And I'm glad to see that the Arya sounds like being paid off in the correct way. That's why this one ends up at 9. However, there were some things in there. I didn't like this whole thing where they set up this Deus Ex Machina. It's not really a Deus Ex Machina, but they set up the thing where the Night King can get killed and all of them are obliterated. That would piss me off a little bit, and it feels a little cheap, something that Game of Thrones doesn't normally do. Yeah. So that bothered me a little bit. I thought that maybe they could have filmed the Benjen scene better. Not that he comes and saves, because I think his sacrifice was perfect, and that should wrap his character up. But come up with something different. Don't slap the horse on the ass and say there's no room in the horse. Instead, it should be Jon and him are fighting them. As Jon is fighting, all of a sudden somebody's helping him, and he looks, and it's his uncle. He's like, Benjen, Uncle Ben, and he's like, there's no time. And they are literally, he throws him on the fucking horse. There is literally no time. They could have filmed that much better. They didn't. In fact, he went out like a bitch. Only took out 2 guys with the fucking thing, and they could have made it so much better.
Worded it ever so slightly different. Instead of there being no time, like, just go. Somebody has to stay. And then he takes out some more bitches with,
or there's no time for me.
Yeah, and I don't have any problems with the time flow or the teleports that people are upset with. The Ravens can't travel that fast.
It's been that way
You don't
forever.
know the passage of time, and this is a fucking story, and it's a fucking episode.
Exactly.
But I will, on the teleportation, but I will agree that the pace is faster than it's ever been.
It should be,
and that's, to me, is not necessarily a negative, because I do want more, but it can be a slight negative. So let's go with a season rating. So
Whoa.
we're at the end of the season 7 compared to other seasons. We've had some shitty storylines. Let's talk about it. We've had, I think that for me, the Brazos stuff dragged on way too long. The Faceless Men, the Sands, the Dorne storyline. Fucked up. Books are superior on that South Dorne storyline. So there have been weaker seasons of Game of Thrones.
For sure.
But we all agree that Game of Thrones is one of the best shows out there. That's why I'm doing this series. Yeah. Where does this rank? Is it as strong as season 3? Is it weak like season 5? Maybe, if I got those numbers right, because it's kind of hard to remember. But I believe, in my opinion, that this season is one of the best seasons we've ever seen. Things are moving fast. We're getting really momentous and epic moments. I know I'm shedding here.
It's okay.
So we don't ever see John shedding but anyway.
He does.
So I'll start off and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm really enjoying this. It would have earned a 10 out of 10 from me, one of the best seasons, if it wasn't being rushed. Because I do think that there is a certain speed here that it could have had 1 or 2 or 3 more episodes. And that is just a result of George R.R. Martin farting around, not getting shit done, right? Yeah. And then DB Wise and Benioff just being tired of doing it, though I think it's HBO's fault. And HBO said, okay, you guys don't want to do it no more? Bye. We're going to find some other talented people to keep this going at the same pace. But they're too scared to. They don't want to fuck things up. So they're like, all right, you can rush it. They said, this is how long it's going to be, and can we get more? No. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, guys. Okay. Yeah. I think HBO is betting way too hard on their prequel Game of Thrones series that they want to do.
They just want to rush
replacing this, and I'm just not as excited about that as I am about ending this season right in the perfect way. So, 9 out of 10 for me on this season, despite all the fucking and it makes me so mad because, I'm seeing this internet backlash now. And it's because Game of Thrones has gotten so popular. And this happens for everything. It happens for fucking Zelda, for fucking Skyrim, anything that is good.
Whatever
that more
you love
people
will be put down.
Anything that's really good, like objectively good, and then more people join and become fans of it, then you get every once in a while, and one thing is done at a 7 instead of 9, and all of a sudden the sky is falling, and this is the worst fucking season yet, and here is all the reasons why this sucks, and then they get lots of views, and they become the contrarian, and it becomes cool to hate it, and now everybody, fuck Skyrim, it's a shitty game, and fuck this and fuck that. I hate that shit. If you think that this series or this season is the worst season of Game of Thrones, you're a fucking idiot, and you don't know what you're talking about, and you're just a fucking trendy hater, bullshit. Anyway, I am done. Rant over. There had to be at least one angry rant on this series. So we'll go with Alex.
I think this season was actually really good. I don't want to give any argument to the trolls. This season is definitely different than the other seasons, but this season has more moments in this season were like amazing fan service. Even if they're fan service and even if it was cheap, it was fucking awesome, and I loved every second of it.
Will you agree with this, that the franchise does feel different?
Oh, of course it does.
Okay, but here's the thing. You can make that admission without saying this is the worst season ever. You could say, while it does feel different, where these directors and writers now have the majority of responsibilities in filling in the blanks. Yes, they have the guidelines from George R.R. Martin, but what they're doing is not bad, and it's not as colossal fuck up that they could be doing.
It is very different. I do not think
I don't
that
know if
this
it's very different, but
it's different enough that people are noticing, right? Okay. So maybe not very different, but different enough. I think this is probably in the top 3 seasons. I think that I think it's season 3's Red Wedding. That is probably the best season. I mean, it had all of the things that I wanted. It had like the betrayal.
There's just so many more possibilities when you're that early, and you think it could go when it's finally coming together in one specific way, and it's easier for people to predict. Sometimes that takes away from their enjoyment, but for me, not necessarily if it resolves. But I'm sorry, I'll keep
it was a really good season. There's a lot of moments that I really enjoyed, and I think that a lot of it was rushed, but I still really enjoyed the hell out of it. There was not a time where I was like, oh man, it's Sunday, I gotta watch Game of Thrones. It's like we planned there was always getting a bunch of people together. We'd always have like a big meal, and we watched Game of Thrones.
Thank you for that.
And we would
this guy cooks for us every fucking time. It's amazing to go to his house to watch it, so thank you for that.
but it's something that I really enjoyed. So I would probably give this season an 8 out of 10, and I would say it's probably in the top 3 best seasons.
Okay.
But we're in the middle of rewatching all of it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch everything, and then I'll let you know.
we can give a final super
we have
verdict.
a year and a half before the next season comes
you do.
back out.
Year and a half, no, a year.
Terrible.
What is this year and a half bullshit?
2019.
Please, God, no,
2019.
we don't know that.
No,
Just
it's accurate.
let me wait a year. No.
Unfortunately.
No,
Sorry.
fuck. So it's not going to be in August again?
Nah.
No, a year and a half, I think.
You wait for it. It'll happen eventually.
I don't want to hear this shit. My life has no meaning without
Sorry.
friends. Anyways, but see, this stuff is good. This is our generation. It's just like Harry Potter was that generation, Star Wars. Game of Thrones is the next generation of really good premier fucking franchise and television.
Shit.
The fact that it's on TV is even greater. Okay,
Really,
go ahead. What
really
about
good
you?
shit. All right, so I've got to admit there was definitely scenes that I feel like they could have been changed and a little bit altered and it would have been perfect. And so at this point, I feel like I'd give it a 9 because there was definitely parts. The Arya and Bree fighting scene, the dragons are there. They're definitely doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Battles
The
that
battles,
has
everything
tension.
was done. The puss and pie, they really get to you in this.
They're trying some things. They tried
all
some
the
new
heartstrings.
The soup and poop. Come
Soup
on.
and
Tried some new things.
You feel like sad and happy, and they go for all of the angles. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate everybody who's directed and done the time and effort for all of this. The acting was great. Like, I've got to admit, it was a really, really great season,
Yeah,
guys.
I think-
Pacing of it, and there was a couple of scenes that could have been done differently that would have made it perfect. And at the same time, they were done very well for the actor's standpoint. Like, this is what you're given, and this is what you're going to do with it.
Oh, they did the best they
did
could
the
with
best
with
they
some of the
fucking
material.
could.
Yeah, I
And-
really
and
agree.
so, like,
they've been playing these characters for a long
They
time
have,
now.
and they
so-
know exactly how to get to you. And so the entire time, you really feel for everybody. And the only part that you could have changed was a hint of the writing. But it wasn't even that bad. Like, when you take a step back and you look at it, it was all pretty great.
I think everybody acted the way
Yeah.
you would think they'd act, except for maybe a little bit
Like,
pushing
a couple of
the limits with the
But
Arya
again,
Sansa
it was
thing. But
it was the writing that was the pull for it. It wasn't even the actors, the actresses. It was the writing that was a little bit tweaked in the end.
You could tell that DB and David put stuff in there that they wanted that wouldn't really make sense because you pointed out that both of you pointed out that great glaring thing where why is this zombie polar bear out there in the middle of nowhere without, we've only seen these guys move together and it was revealed in one of those after episodes that they were like, we have been wanting a zombie bear for the longest time and we kept telling HBO and HBO's like, no, and we're like, we want it and it's too expensive. We're gonna fucking put it in this season. And they did it, but they created a little bit of a hole there. A little bit because that bear's out in the middle of the fucking nowhere.
been a
But
lot
you know what?
closer.
I did like it, so I will excuse
They did a
it.
good job,
great.
but they're not George R. R.
Good.
Martin.
Anyway, so we'll move on to our favorite quotes of this episode. So I'm going to go with, can I take the big one? I'm going to take the big one, which is you stand accused of murder. You stand accused of treason. How do you answer these charges? Lord Baelish.
I like that. I like that.
That scene is so good. What about you?
We're fucked.
Oh yeah, that is the whole ending of the season. Summed it up perfectly.
Everything's destroyed. Everything's coming down.
Yep.
We might not even have backup from behind us.
We could have people attacking us from behind us.
Everything is terrible.
We are fucked, and we are fucking our aunts.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. What about you?
My favorite is when the Hound is talking with Brienne about Arya, and she said, you don't need to worry. The only people that need protection are the people that are in her way.
Yep.
And that was perfect. And then you have to look at the Hound's face because he has this big, like, fatherly smile on there. Like, he's proud. Like, he's just like, look, that's the person I was traveling with. And
I
she's
love
another
the
person.
Hound. I hope he's gonna have a great moment in season 8. Do you think the Hound is gonna make it to the end of season 8, or should he have a heroic death?
My prediction that we didn't talk about.
In pain in life, and I think that he wants to have a heroic death, and I hope he has a heroic death.
I hope he kills his brother. But so we were talking about like what situations will the Mountain, and
let's go to series predictions.
And
now.
so Jamie escaped, right? Cersei cannot have Jamie gone. Like the amount of damage he could do with the knowledge of their armies, the numbers, everything. And so if she's gonna send someone, who better to send than the Hound?
You're giving
the Mountain, and
giving us a legitimate way to get to the
if
Clegan Bowl.
if the Mountain chases down Jamie, goes after him in some way, and Jamie's heading straight towards the Hound.
Or he's hanging out already with Tyrion
cool.
and the Hound.
That would be cool.
I would love to see, you know, like a big fight happen with the Hound, the Mountain, and then Jamie versus some like random. They're not the gold cloaks anymore. They're black and silver. You know, whatever. They're Queen's Guard now.
Yes.
For, like,
Let's talk about one final thing: is the lack of deaths. The lack of there was some great deaths, right?
Yeah, we also
and big characters. Well, I mean, the internet is going crazy with everybody has plot armor. Nobody's dying, but if you think about it, some important people did die. Lord Baelish died.
But he hasn't
Olenna died.
But they weren't important this season. Like, Lord Baelish was crazy important the first 3 seasons. Like, he was running the show.
Okay.
And now he's, like, whispering in some redheads, you know, like,
I will say
it's
that
snowy up here, your sister's bad. It's like, this is what Lord Baelish is doing now?
There's been a lot of fake outs this season and people surviving maybe, and some people are thinking maybe this is fan service and George R.R. Martin would be slaughtering these people. Do you think that this continues in season 8, that nobody really of importance is going to die?
No, I think...
Or do you think they take the feedback from that and start killing off people? We're going to lose Tormund, we're going to lose Beric, we're going to lose Tyrion, we're going to lose Jaime, we're going to lose Cersei, we're going to lose...
As long as Tormund and Bree get together and have the epic babies that conquer the world, we don't care.
Davos gone, Hound gone, Gendry gone.
Gendry was gone. Where is Gendry?
Yeah, where the fuck
I
is
don't
Gendry?
know where Gendry is.
He's
he
like
went back to Rowan.
He's like hanging out on the wall or something.
He grabbed another rowboat off the coast. It's fine.
I would say my estimate is at least 25% of named characters. I mean, not like the weird, like, I don't know. I know a lot of names, but like the big names.
Red Queen die. What's the bald-headed guy? Varys dies probably in the next season. So I think there's going to be plenty of deaths. I don't think it's time to scream your head off that this is going to end in a super happy ending.
It's not.
Because I think they are going to respect George R.R. Martin's wish and not have it a complete happy ending.
Yeah.
Well, he told everybody. He said it's going to be a bittersweet ending. He gave them the ending.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. And let's hope they stick to that and not change it for casuals and HBO and stuff like that. So we'll see. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed our little series here on Game of Thrones. I did this because I love the franchise. It's one of my favorite television shows of all time. We usually have a lull in July, August in video games. And I want to branch out and try other things and share my passions with you here on the Angry Joe Show. Movies, games, and television shows, and even board games. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate all your support, and yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye guys.